Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Serenity Resource Connector. We are at episode 5. Just in case you missed the first 4 episodes, let me just remind you that we looked at opportunities for high school leavers. Episode 1, we had representatives from the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, the University of the Caribbean, uh, UCC. I'm always getting that name confused. The UCC, we had representative from Heart NSTA Trust and RGD, where we looked at the sixth form pathway program, career services support, as well as accessing a birth certificate. Then in episode 2, we had conversation with Heart NSTA Trust and the UE Open Campus, looking at CSEC and short courses offerings, as well as school leavers training opportunities. And we brought updates on the high schools in Clarendon that were offering the sixth form pathway program and indicated that the traditional high schools in Clarendon did not have the resources to accommodate that program at this time. They are currently doing enrollment for their sixth form program. Some have closed off already, but I'm sure if you missed the deadline, reach out to them. If there's still space available, I'm sure they will accommodate you. And in episode 3, we looked at skills training with representatives from Heart NSTA Trust and the Jamaica 4-H clubs. Last week, which was episode 4, we had Jamaica 4-H clubs joining us again to talk about grants and scholarships, as well as representatives from Heart NSTA Trust. And we had UCC back with us again to share on their scholarship opportunities that they have. So we covered a whole lot in the 4 weeks. Just in case you missed them, the episodes are right there. Hashtag Serenity Resource Connector. You'll be able to access those previous episodes on Facebook or YouTube to watch at your leisure. Well, this week we are going to be delving into job placement support opportunities because there are some who are moving on to sixth form. There are others who are looking to get into being employed, whether you're leaving high school or you are leaving university. Then you would want to know where you can get support from the various government agencies to assist you in identifying that job. And to get the conversation started this afternoon, we are going to be starting with our resident agency. I love to call them, that's the Heart NSTA Trust. So Mr. Wade will be joining us in a little while to get that conversation started. There are so many support programs that are available, and we're just going to highlight some of them for you this afternoon in this episode 5. Just want to, before Mr. Wade comes on, to thank our partners, Cousins Construction, Shagori's Aggregate, and National Wholesale for making this Serenity Resource Connector program possible as we continue to share public education with you through the different agencies and service providers so that we can equip our young people and the young at heart. Mr. Wade, you are on camera. Welcome. All right, you're muted.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Witter.
You're welcome.
The pleasure
Great
is
to
mine to
have
be
you.
on. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All
Yes.
right. So we are going to be having a conversation about job placement support programs. I know Heart does a lot when it comes on to job placement support.
Most
And
definitely.
right. And so I will allow you the opportunity to share with us specifically in terms of the programs that you have offering, how the young people can submit their resume, what exactly is it that they're required to submit, and how the program actually works. or programs? Because I know you have different arrangements. So go ahead and share with us.
Okay, so I thank you very much for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the Heart NSTA Trust. Uh, I always like to remember the meaning of the acronym HEART, Human Employment and Resource Training Agency. And previously, it was the HEART NTA, National
Yes.
Training Agency. But with the merger of a number of agencies, the Jamaica Foundation for Lifelong Learning,
Mhm.
the National Youth Service, and the Apprenticeship Board. We are now the HEART NSTA, so it's a national service and training agency. So I take pride in saying that we are the premier service and training agency in this country. And I like to look at our mission and vision statement before I delve into the programs that we offer. Our mission statement here at Heart NSTA Trust is to facilitate and ensure the development of human capital. All that we are doing, we are facilitating and we are ensuring the development of human capital. And our vision statement is to see an empowered Jamaican citizen contributing to
Yes.
family, community, and nation building through universal human resource development. And uh, prior to coming to the Region 6, and particularly the Portmore region, I was in the St. Mary region,
Okay.
Parish. And I tell you, we had partnerships. I remember one of note partnering with the police in St. Mary, that we would go into communities and just walk, and they as they would link with us, restorative justice and so on, and we will be speaking to young people about what is present at heart, and some places as if they are just hearing about it. So there are a number of persons who are not aware of all that we offer. And the time would not allow me to say on all that we offer, but let me stick to my portfolio, which is job placement. So
Right.
thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome. That's why Heart NSTA Trust, I refer to you as the resident guest here because you have been with us and gonna be with us for quite some time because of
Yes,
the plethora of services that you provide. So you can just focus on your area and we're gonna
yes,
get
yes,
your other team members to come in and share to ensure that more people become aware of the
yes.
various services. So go right ahead and share as it relates to
All right then.
right.
Yes. So let me start with work-based training, previously known as on-the-job training. And I want to emphasize the training aspect of it. It's all about training. That has four areas. There are four areas in our work-based training. It has mentorship, volunteerism, number two, number three, training, and certification. We have two main programs here. We have the SL Top. So SL Top stands for School Leavers Training Opportunities Program. And this program gives young persons the experience which is required to develop a greater understanding of the complexities of the working environment. And it provides some tools that are required to become competitive members of the labor force. The trainees will work with a firm for up to 1 year, where they are encouraged to fully immerse themselves in the daily operations of that environment. Now, the expected outcomes are the trainees are expected to develop industry skills within their chosen vocations. Also develop job readiness and entrepreneurship skills, strengthen employability or core skills, and exhibit a commitment to volunteering and be supported by a mentor. Now, when the SL top would have completed that 1 year, they can access employment or they can commence higher level training. And before I go into the requirements, I will say to you that there are numerous success stories. I have been into firms promoting our services and our programs, and managers have told me that a number of persons who are now permanent started out as a heart trainee.
Indeed.
Yes, we take care of that theoretical aspect. We guarantee that you are enrolled in particular courses. It can be business administration, records management, customer service. It varies. And then now when you are in that firm, the supervisor there is providing that day-to-day on-the-job supervision to strengthen those critical areas which are required to make you into that worker that will strengthen the labor force. Now, the target group for the SL top. The SL top targets recent school leavers aged 17 to 23 with 2 or more passes in CXC, CSEC, or GC or their equivalent. So at least 2 CSEC passes and you qualify for the SL top program. The duration can be 1 to 3 years, and we partner with both private and public sector entities. Now, this program, if somebody's going to ask, when does this program begin? This program is ongoing. Right throughout the year, we are enrolling persons for our SL Top, School Leaver Training Opportunities Program. And for the SL Top, there is a certain number. Say we have targets to meet. So let's say we have a target of 100. For the SL Top program, a certain percentage of that will be placed in firms and paid by the Heart NSTA Trust. The other number, we are asking firms to take on these persons and provide the payment for them. So that is where SL Top is concerned. No.
So before you move on, so let's just get it clear. So you have a certain target that you're able to, based on your budget, that you're able to cover.
That's right.
Outside of that, you do not turn anyone back, but what you do is seek to partner with these businesses, organizations to take them on.
That's right. Yes, because the ones that we pay now, we refer to them as special placement.
Okay.
Yes, and the others now we are saying to firms, partner with us. We are providing these persons. We enroll them in training. We are monitoring them. So I like to emphasize, it is not that job that you have, that dream job that you have been looking for. You finish high school and you say, boy, I've landed my dream job. It is all geared towards capacity building. So it is work-based training. So you are going to
it might turn out to be your dream job after all. Depends on how you apply yourself.
Well, excellent. Because I have found out that employers are actually looking forward to these young people to show something.
That's it.
Show that attitude. And because I have discovered it from previous roles as coordinating different programs for NYS, that the employers, the supervisors, they are concerned about one thing: attitude. It doesn't matter how much you know, how many skills you have. It's all about your attitude. An employer is willing to work with you if you have minimal amount of skill, but if you have that
Right.
maximum
Attitude.
attitude where you are teachable and you are willing, then it as you said, it can become that dream job.
Yes.
All
Right.
right. Yes. So that is the SL top. Now, the SL top, sometimes we have a difficulty meeting the target because persons sometimes will say, we because of the prevailing circumstances, we're not able to pay. But it's a stipend. It's a stipend. And so we can work out something reasonable that you can partner with us to give to these trainees. There is another work-based training program, and that one is called the Registered Apprenticeship Program, otherwise known as RAP.
Yes. Before you move on, Sir Wade, we had
Yeah.
sessions, we had episodes before where we looked in details at some of these. So just give us the highlight and
Yes.
in terms of, right, how it is that Heart actually assists these young people. So if they did not go through the Heart program, and those who are out there who are
Okay.
thinking that, boy, I didn't go through the art program, can I still take my
All right.
resume to Heart? Right.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much.
Yes.
Now for the RAP program, this one is open to persons over the age of 17. There is no maximum age limit. And you don't need to have passed through a Heart institution. You just need to submit your resume. For you to apply for this, there are forms to be filled out. You need to take your resume, your proof of qualifications, if you have any, your birth certificate, TRN, ID, NIS. Now, let me say for the RAP program that there are levels. If you have no qualification, you're at the entry level. All we ask of you is to do a diagnostic test, which is set at the grade 9 level. Once you have been successful in that, then you can proceed. There is the intermediate level for persons who have at least 2 CSEC subjects. There is the advanced level for those with a diploma or an associate degree, and the expert or graduate level for those who have a bachelor's degree. So at any time, persons can come in and apply. And let me say this to you, Mrs. Witter, that
Okay.
as job placement officer, I am going out into so the RAP program, the RAP, we stand that stipend. The firm has nothing to do out of pocket.
Okay.
So that's why firms now they are more
Open to
easy
that up one.
to really take and say, I want RAP, and we are willing to give you RAP trainees. We are willing because our RAP target sometimes is normally like at least twice the SL top target. And so
Okay.
we are willing to give you those persons. So persons can just come in and apply. And there's a level for you. There is a level for you, whether entry, intermediate, advanced, or graduate. So whether you have gone to a Heart institution or not, you can come into our parish offices and apply. Speak to us and we will facilitate you.
Right. Remind us the areas that are covered under the RAP program.
All right. So the RAP program, it in terms of the skills that are offered. It varies, it's a wide ranging. As I mentioned, you have business administration, customer service, teacher assistant, records management. They are numerous.
All
They're
right.
numerous.
Sounds like you just added another episode to the program, because we're definitely going to have to look at it from the employer's side. So for
Yes.
this, let us focus on from the employee side, because we have these young people out there. They're not so sure. They have the resume and all of that. They've been sending them out all over the place. But what we want them to know is that they can reach out to Heart and the other entities represented here for support in
All right.
connecting with these businesses.
Okay. Now, so that takes me now to job placement. because we actually go into firms, and I can now speak on an event that we have in collaboration with the Prince's Trust from the UK. The Prince's Trust from the UK and the Heart NSTA Trust in Jamaica, we have an event that we call the Get Hired. Now, in the Get Hired event program, you know that sometimes young people send out their resumes. They send it all over the place, and sometimes you may send out 10 resumes, and
Right.
you may at best get back one response or so on. You're not shortlisted. Now,
Right.
what we do here at Heart Trust, we are saying to you, send your resume to us. Don't give up hope. Send it to us. We now are going to take you through what is called an empowerment program. In our empowerment, we look at things like communication skills, how to write your resume and your cover letter, professionalism in the workplace, interpersonal skills, all those things to really make you work ready. We take you through mock interviews. We give you the tips, how to answer the questions, the do's and the don'ts, email etiquette, all those things. So we are saying to firms out there that we are taking on the recruitment aspect for you. So we are saving your HR department time and energy and money. And we at the Heart NSTA Trust, we are taking on that recruitment aspect. And so the young people that we have and present to you and say, please interview these persons. They are persons who would have gone through the processes to prepare them as to what is required in the workplace. So we do all of that on a continuous basis. So if you have any opening, you can reach out to us. And to the job seeker, feel free to send your resume to us. Feel free to contact the parish office. I'm in the region 6 at this moment. So we have the Clarendon, the Maypen office there. We have the Spanish Town and now the Portmore parish office. Feel free to walk into our offices. Feel free to make contact. Send us your resume. We are always, and we are saying to firms that we at the Heart NSTA Trust, we are doing a continuous empowerment process of preparing these young people. And we take pride in our reputation. We are the Heart NSTA Trust. So when someone has gone through our work readiness, employability skills process, then they are ready, more ready than the average job seeker. And we are saying to you that that person who you accept will make a difference in your organization.
And I am sure the firms out there will be really grateful to hear that, especially for the small and micro businesses who don't necessarily have a HR department.
Yes.
So that's really, really great. And we're going to have another conversation about this because there are so many questions that I have from the employer side, but that's for another episode.
I will
So
ask one favor of you, though, Mrs. Witter. If
yes,
you could send me a listing of the email addresses of these firms. I have the Get Hired letter. I want to send them for them to have a read and to see how they can partner with us even better.
oh, okay. Well, there's a network. The All Island Chambers of Commerce. You can
Okay.
go through that network to the different chambers of commerce.
Okay.
And right, that's a central location that I could recommend that you could utilize
Okay.
because I understand that Heart has reached out to become members of the different chambers of commerce across
Yes.
the island, which is
Yes.
great. So your officers can actually engage with the different chambers of commerce to
All right.
get that done. So right, we'll definitely follow through on that.
Thank you very much.
All right. So
Thanks for having me.
it's a pleasure. Don't go anywhere just
All
in
right.
case there are any
Yes.
questions.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So thank you so much. That was Mr. Cecil Wade from the Heart NSTA Trust, the person that is really versed on job placement and knowing all about the different programs that Heart has there to support the empowerment of our young people and to actually partner with the different organizations to empower these young people. Stay put, Sir Wade, don't go anywhere. We are going to invite on now Miss Chevelle Campbell from the Clarendon Youth Innovation Center to share with us. Miss Campbell, welcome to the Serenity Resource Connector.
Thanks for having me. Good evening, everyone.
Awesome. Um, for the we call you the CYIC or YIC Clarendon, but please set the background as to how this YIC came about, because I'm sure there are a number of people who are not sure what this Youth Innovation Center is all about. We're not going to take it for granted that they do. So share some background on how it all started and who it is that you serve.
Okay, so the Youth Innovation Centers are there's one in Clarendon, but there are actually 11 that operate across Jamaica, and some other spaces that we refer to as youth access points. We were formerly known as a lot of persons call us NCYD. So a lot of persons, when you hear about NCYD, it's still the Youth Innovation Centers. That was our old name, NCYD. So the YICs are basically the centers where we're supposed to be safe spaces for young people. Spaces where young people can come, they can talk. Most centers have persons who are trained counselors. So we have in Clarendon, we have two employees. So we have myself and my coworker, Miss Kerry Thomas, who is trained in social work. Both of us are trained in counseling. So I heard Mr. Wade a while ago saying that yes, we ensure that the young people are getting employed. But in order for young persons to be employed, they have to first be empowered. And we have to get them to a state of mind where they believe that, okay, employment is for me, or a life of crime is not for me. And that is what we do. So we do the work that refine everybody so that they can go to everywhere else. So we work with the youth clubs. We work primarily with unattached youth. So the youth on the roadside digging out them handbagger, that is our cohort as well. We ensure that we capture them from high school. So we work with the prefects council, and we are also in charge of the National Secondary Students Council. So those very eloquent young persons who lead on to become politicians, they're a part of our program because we do the trainings for the prefects and the students counselors. Also, you mentioned before, a lot of persons don't know, but the name of the ministry is Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. We are the youth division. So whenever you wonder what is youth, when you think
Very
about
cool.
information, that is USF. When you think about youth, that is us. We are that little floating entity who we report directly to persons, and everything goes directly to the minister. So we are directly under the Ministry of Youth. So that is what we do. So empowerment is our core function. So a lot of young persons, we find out that training may not necessarily be easy for them in the structured set because maybe they have a lot of children, they're trying to hustle, and a 9 to 5 job may not be conducive while taking care of a baby, that sort of thing. What we tend to do is partner with different organizations. So the Heart Trust, and the NSTA Trust is one of the persons who we partner with. Currently, we are partnering with Flow Foundation to ensure that we have some of the free courses that they are offering that people don't really know about. We ensure that we bring that to the young people, break it down so that if there's any questions that they have, we can refine it, break it down, elaborate, and ensure that they have certificates. So whenever Heart has short or like 1 day certificates or a 1 week certificate program, we bring young people in for that. So sometimes they're not thinking, certification, but we have other empowerment activities that we do. So we work in the
Right.
youth clubs. We do a lot of things through sports. We do a lot through arts. We do a lot through music, as I mentioned, counseling. We have a big homework resource center. So when young persons are finding it difficult to get somebody to assist them with homework, that sort of stuff, we are there. So it's not like, oh, just a computer center and we do the same thing at the library. The importance is that youth empowerment is at our, so all the youth clubs report to us, even though we do not have autonomy over the police youth um, club movement. A lot of the trainings that they go through are actually done by us. So we ensure that these young people capacities are built so that they can further empower young people with whom they interact. So that is us in a nutshell. We ensure that when we're working with those young persons, we capture the information, we keep those things safeguarded. And when the young people
Yeah.
say, like, listen, I feel like I want a job, the Mrs. Witter, the Heart Trust, NSTA, anybody else who is employing, or if they want services that we currently do not offer, or we don't have any programs, we do a lot of referral. So those are some of the things. If somebody come and say, boy, I'm disabled, or this is the case, or whatever, we say, all right, Ministry of Labor is for you. So we ensure that we keep a tight enough bond with the different agencies, um, pardon me, both in the Chamber of Commerce as well as the Clarendon Interagency Network. And we have other partners like USAID, FHI 360, both the advanced program and LPD, because the advanced program provides a lot of um, resources for us when it comes to career guidance and coaching and that sort of stuff. They do that for us as well. So we use our network to ensure that these young persons are catered to. So in terms of one of the programs we have coming up is entrepreneurship, where we do like minor training and we give the young people the necessary information, the necessary resources to just get their foot in the door, and then we refer them to other programs like the ones that the Chamber of Commerce does, or the Jamaica Youth Business Trust, depending on where in their business cycle they are and um, whatever assistance they may need at the time. So that is what we do. We connect youth, empower youth, and ensure that they are ready for the future.
All right. So th- this is why we have these entities here on the Serenity Resource Connector, because it's these are the entities that make up the interagency networks across the island. Clarendon has a very active group, and this is just to highlight some of the core things, the support that they provide. There are a lot of resources, and as Mr. Wade says, as long as Heart has been around, there are still people who have not heard of some of the programs that Heart actually provides. The same for the Youth Innovation Center, because they're there, and which is why we this program that was actually conceptualized to create another avenue where we can put the information out there so persons are able to, we're kind of filtering it because the information is out there, but you have to sift through because it's a lot of information that's coming at you on social media and all over. So this is a space where you can get specific information. All right, I have Leonard Buchanan here who's asking if you have, I'm thinking it, this means if you have training for mechanic, um,
That would
or
be
is it
for
your
the
government?
trust.
That
That
would
would
be
be for
hard.
the trust, right?
All right, so Mr. Buchanan, don't go anywhere, or if you have to leave the live, that's fine. We're going to answer your question when Mr. Wade comes back on later on to wrap the show. Let me just let you know ahead of time. We're going to go over the hour today because we have to get this information out there, and I don't want to do it in bits and pieces. I want you to get it and understand how you can access the services and that get the information. So even if you're not going to access it directly, you can guide others in accessing these different services. So that's it. And the beauty about it is that on YouTube, you can pause it, you can go and get something done, and you can come back and continue watching and select the areas that you want to zone in on. That's why we're using this platform. All right. So before Miss Campbell goes, there's another avenue in terms of those persons who might say um, they're not so sure how to put the resume together. Is that something that you assist them with? Heart indicated that they do that, but what about the Youth Innovation Center? You're
Well, we
assisting
do
as well?
that. So definitely, that's one of the things that we put a lot of focus on. So normally, the trust would provide the templates and say, you know what, this is what you should do. but a lot, so we find, especially with the unattached youth, or some of them not necessarily unattached, but some with lower literacy levels, or just the weight how to do it. That's one of the things that we ensure that we do. So we help, so we break it down from scratch. So if you come and you say, listen, I want to do a resume, and we first start asking you your address. We just fill in the information. If you say, yeah, mom, I'm gonna go to school, we ask you which school if you're not sure, and we ask. So we do the prompts, everything, so it can be filled out, typed, properly formatted the way that the trust and most employers would want. And as soon as we are finished with that, we ensure that it's looking stellar, looking ready, so that you can have your foot one step further into the door for that employment opportunity.
All right. See the opportunities that are there, the options for support. Before we go any further, please clarify what this unattached mean, because there are different definitions floating around out there. What
Okay,
is an
so
unattached?
it's a term that is now being retired. The term that they're now using is NEET youth, which is NEET. So neither in education or employment. So because it's so that's the new term, neither in education. And when we're talking about education, it can be in terms of informal education where you're learning a trade unofficially, or you're with an entity such as Heart Trust NSTA. So what we have is a lot of young persons. I wouldn't say they're truly unattached. They're attached, but not to the things that we want them to be attached to. So right, so that is the term that they use. So if a young person is not in school, they're not employed, or they're not in any sort of training, or they're not employing themselves, they're not entrepreneurs. Otherwise they will be known as unattached youth, because yeah, you're lacking the resources to take the next step to become a more empowered young person, and to be gainfully contributing to the country. So that's the term that is used. So a lot of persons not using unattached some words. If you hear persons mention NEET youth, it is the same set in either in education or employment. So that is so, but a lot of times a lot of persons use it primarily for that same group, but for youth who are further marginalized. So youth who may
That's it.
be in inner city communities, or youth who are in deep rural communities who lack certain amenities to ensure that their employment is guaranteed. So the term is usually used for unattached, marginalized youth. But yeah, that is what the term means, in either working or in any form of
Okay,
education.
because yes, because I can have associate degree or other degree, and I'm unattached
You
because
can
I'm
be
not. Yes, so right, I
right,
want to make that clear. So the Youth Innovation Center is not just for the marginalized group;
right.
it's for all of us,
Because we
right?
have young persons, and it's a good thing you mentioned that, Mrs. Witter. Sorry about that. We have persons who they would have gone to university. They lived a very sheltered life in high school, and they were just taking my book because. And when they went to university, they were not in any extracurricular activities. They were not doing any networking, and as a result of that, and they don't know anybody to be like a strong reference, they may not have gone through any of the programs that Parent Trust would have offered. And because
Right,
of that, it is particularly difficult. So we've met young persons who have left university, who left you like a year and a half, 2 years, and they are not working. And when you talk to them, you say, "What you doing?" Because they are yeah, they're chill. And that is not what you want. So, what are you doing? Are you a member of a youth club where you can say, you're meeting references, you're meeting other persons in your network, so you're a step closer to getting a job? And that is
right.
not the case. So, what you find is that even though they may be a little bit more educated, they're still very much unattached. they're still very much unattached. And usually when we find these young people, it's usually when we do community work. So we set up sometimes what are called mobile YICs, and that's how we meet up on these persons. So what we start doing, if we see any job opportunities that align with what they studied, we send to them, and sometimes that is how they end up being employed. So we're not just for marginalized youth. As I said, we work with the prefects. The prefects are usually the creme de
Right.
la creme. We work with the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Institutions, and that would be the guilds of the various universities. The Prime Minister Youth Awards is under us. That is for the more prestige youth as well. The Youth Parliament program is under us as well. So we cater to young people, and when we so
Right.
15 to 29 years old, and it is right across the board. So if you're a high achiever, we have we have a space for you, and if you're just trying to make things, figure stuff out, we're here for you as well.
That is great information. Great information. There's another option because of the wide network that the Youth Innovation Center has. So for the as you mentioned earlier, there are some young people because they are not that exposed. They might not know exactly how to go about getting things done. They might be qualified to get a job, but they just need that kind of guidance. And that's where the Youth Innovation Center comes in, which is support because Heart will not be able to deal with everyone. And so the Youth Innovation Center is another avenue where they can get that support. Right. Thank you so much, Miss Campbell. Don't go anywhere. We want to have some final words from you. And just in case there are any questions coming in afterwards, Mr. Buchanan, just to remind you that we're going to be taking your questions. And that this time we're going to make way for our representatives from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. I'm going to ask my guests, please turn on your cameras and get ready to share with us. Share with us, right, as we get the conversation going. Here we are. All right. Miss Brumfield, you want to shift a little more? You're not in your camera. We want to see your beautiful face. There we go. Miss Grant, you can shift a little more as well to your right, so we can see the faces. Or you might need to shift the screen of the device so we can see you properly and get the information out. All right. All right. So we have the Ministry of Labor and Social Security has so many components to it. So we could not have just one one representative on this afternoon. We had to have at least two, and we're still not going to be able to cover much. They're going to have to come back on to share other areas. So we have Ms. Delanor Grant, who is a regional manager. She's going to share which region exactly, the name of that region, and she's going to be sharing with us from the labor division of the ministry. And then we have Miss Bridget Brumfield, who is with the Maypen office, and she is going to be focusing on the program that deals specifically with the NIS, or National Insurance Scheme, in full. So we're focusing on job placement support programs, and we have at least two, there could be more, in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and that's what we want to bring out this afternoon. So, Miss Brumfield, we're going to get started with you. Miss Grant, say something. Let's hear you. It looks as if you're frozen. Are you hearing? It seems to be something wrong with Miss Grant's connection, but let's go ahead. Miss Brumfield, you can turn on your microphone and let's get the conversation going. All right. Let's see. Miss Brumfield. Let's get the microphone on so we can hear you. Are you getting some help?
Yes.
All
Good afternoon,
right.
everyone.
Great afternoon. It's good.
My name is Bridget Brumfield Smith. I work with the SEP program. The SEP program is
We're still not
special.
seeing your face, Miss Smith.
All right.
You might
All
have to.
right.
All right. Now we're seeing you. Yeah, now
All
we're
right.
seeing you.
I work with the Special Employment Program, which is SEP, which was launched in 2014. I'm going to tell you a little about the program. Why is the program? I said, since 2008, massive and sustained unemployment in Jamaica and elsewhere has adversely impacted the population, especially those in the vulnerable groups who access to the social safety net mechanism is extremely limited. According to the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, unemployment moved from 9.9% in 2007 to 12.9% in 2011. Given the above, the Special Employment Program is one of the strategies that the government of Jamaica has implemented to respond to the country's unemployment problem. The objective is to introduce participants to the world of work and position themselves for long-term employment. The objectives of the program is to provide economic opportunities and employment for vulnerable, unemployed, and underemployed groups, and also to equip targeted individuals with simple marketable skill as a base for long-term employment. Um, how will the program work? We have 4 points. Prospective participants will be streamed by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. 2, each participant will go through a period of orientation where they will be sensitized about the program and his or her responsibility while participate in the program. 3, employability skill and job ethic training and accreditation will be done by our trust NTA. Participants will be monitored and assessed by our trust while on the job. 4, selected participants are placed in different organizations for a period of 6 months, where they are paid a salary of 8,500 per week for a period of 3 months by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Thereafter, the participating company will be expected to continue payment of wages for the remaining 6 months. So the program is a 6-month program. If the participant works well, they would be employed permanently. What is needed to be placed on the program? Persons between the age of 18 to 35, and the requirements are 3 CXC or more. If they don't have 3 CXC and has 1 CXC with a city and guild or a artrust, we sign them up for the program. Other things that they need to take in is TRN and NIS card, 2 passport size picture, 2 letter of recommendation from a JP and pastor, and type resume, 2 passport size picture, proof of age, birth paper, or passport.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you for that information, because now they know how the program came about, how to actually apply, and where exactly, because there are different divisions when they come to the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Any specific section they need to come to leave that those documentation?
All right. If an applicant is going to sign up for the program, they can come to the NIS section and ask for
Okay.
me.
All right. But if you're not there, the NIS section, there are other
Um,
officers, right?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
but they just need to know that they're coming to the NIS section, whichever
yes.
of the offices, because we are actually have talking to not just persons in Clarendon, but St. Catherine all over.
Mhm.
So it will be the same for all the offices. So it's the
Yes,
NIS section that they'll do their submit their documentation. And as we shared earlier, the previous guests shared, if you're having some challenges with putting that resume together, you just need a second pair of eyes that you want, and you want to reach out to one of these agencies, you can reach out to the Youth Innovation Center in your area, Heart NSTA Trust, to assist you with the resume part. And then you make your submission through either to get, depending on the program that you're looking to get into. So here's another job placement program through the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, their NIS division. It's a 6 months program
yes. It's a
where
6-month program where the
NIS
pay
pays
for
for the
three
first
months.
3 months, and then the
Yes, and then
employer
the
will
employer
cover.
pay. Yes,
Right. And I met Miss Bromfield about 3 years ago, Miss Bromfield, when I,
yes.
yes, I actually supported the her and her team in getting some placement with
Placement.
some
Yes,
of the Chamber of Commerce members, because what I saw was an opportunity for some of these smaller businesses to actually assist in terms of with their cash flow. But we're going to have that conversation another time to demonstrate how the small and micro, well, mostly small and medium sized businesses can benefit from some of these placement programs in terms of dealing with their internal affairs. Thank you so much for sharing, Ms. Bromfield. Is there anything else that we need to know about the program before we take Miss Grant? Miss Grant is back with
um,
us.
we normally do an orientation and a training before we place them. Sometimes we have employer calling us,
Right.
one participant, employer to work, or no, employees to work.
Employees,
Yes. So sometimes they don't get the training at hand.
based on the time frame that
Yes,
you get the
based on the time,
calls.
yeah, the employer wants the person.
Okay, but you do offer some amount of training before they go on the
Yes, I
job.
do. I do.
All right. Is it anything in terms of empowerment? What areas do you cover with that training? What does that training look
Um,
like?
it's a face-to-face talk with the employee. A face-to-face. Like when they comes in with their documents, I'll just sit them down and explain the program and tell them what is expected of them when they go
Okay,
to
so
the,
right,
yes,
orientation and what it is that the
yes,
employer, that kind. Okay, which is great. So they understand before they actually get in how the program is actually
yes.
supposed to
Even
work.
though sometimes when you give them that pep talk and they go to the employer, they don't carry out that
Right.
function. Mhm.
Okay, that's an opportunity where you can partner with the Youth Innovation Center to get some of those empowerment sessions in before they're placed. So there's an opportunity for added collaboration. So that's something that the Ministry of Labor can look at. The resources
Yes,
are there, and a lot of the other agencies are partnering. So we can do that.
yes.
Right. So that's an avenue there. All right. Thank you so much. All right. I'm going to bring on Miss Grant
You're
at this
welcome.
time. All right. Miss Grant, welcome back.
How are you doing? Good afternoon.
I'm doing
You're hearing me,
great.
right?
Yes, we're hearing you
You're hearing me?
clearly.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Good afternoon. Um,
Afternoon.
the Ministry of Labor started out in 1938
Oh, no, you're
as an
breaking up
employment
now.
agency. I'm not too sure how many persons. I'm not too. I think I would. No, I'm saying that the Ministry of Labor started out in 1938 as an employment agency. And to date, we
Okay.
still operate as an employment agency, even though we have added branches. So the program that Ms. Brumfield spoke about, I assume that it is Steps to Work. There are several programs for young persons that abound in the ministry. You have the LMIS, where persons can come in with a passport size picture, two recent recommendations, two recent recommendations, and your resume. If you don't have a resume, then there are persons here in the ministry who will assist you in bringing this resume to fruition. So
Right.
when you do that, what will happen is that we'll go out and we'll seek jobs for these persons and place them in jobs. In 2015, we had a partnership with the IDB, and in that partnership, we had persons at a director level who one was assigned to liaise with the employers, and another was assigned specifically to train these young persons between the ages of 17 to 25. Because according to the
Okay.
ILO, they are saying that that age group is a vulnerable age group, and if we do not take steps globally to save them, what will happen is that we would have lost that generation. And for persons who are near retirement or persons who are in their 40s, 50s, you know that if these persons they don't get employed, what will happen is that there will be no pension for us. So there's a
Right.
move ahead for some persons. Many years ago, when Mrs. Simpson Miller came in with Jeep, a lot of persons they politicize it. But it's not a political instrument. What is happening is that it's just one of the initiatives that we have ratified with the ILO in order to save the endangered youth. We need them to get employed, to get them more involved in the work world. Because if they don't,
Right.
what we have found is that persons actually they are falling to all sorts of ills in society, whether it's trafficking, armaments, prostitution, and all of these things. So all of these initiatives are geared to save these persons. So you can either do it manually, you can come in with your passport size picture and your recent recommendations and your resume, your NIS number, your TRN, and we will liaise with the employers to try and place you in a job as soon as possible. And this is not only for youngsters, for anybody. But the program that we had between 2015 to 2020, that program is that we had training for those persons. Now, what is happening is that, as Miss Brumfield said, is that we'll give them a pep talk for labor itself. What we will do is to assist them with writing a resume and any other, because they have some brochures that we can give to these young persons. For the there's also the electronic version of this program, which is lmis-ele.org.jm. Persons can log on and they can create a username and a password for themselves. They can browse what is available on that site, and they can also post a resume. Employers they can also log on to this site because it matches both employers and employees. Let me see if there's an exact start date for you're hearing me still, right?
Yes,
You're
we
still hearing
are.
me?
Yes, hearing you.
Okay. So employers they can also browse this site, and they can also check to see what kind of skill set is available on there, and they can utilize
Right.
it. So that is basically let me see if I've missed anything in there. Is that we provide services in terms of counseling, resume writing, interview, job search techniques, and provision of labor market information. There are persons who they will want to know the need from whether on a scholastic point from a scholastic point of view. there's some person may actually be engaging in research. So what is
Right.
happening is that you can get information pertaining to the labor market, for to satisfy both needs of job seekers and employers. And
Mm,
also, this
good to
service is
know.
available in all the parish offices. When you go there, you can access it. And in Mandeville, we have two public computers that are dedicated specifically for this purpose. And there's another one that is located in the Chamber of Commerce's office that persons can go in and they log on to these computers if they don't have a personal computer, laptop, or device for themselves.
Just to qualify, that's a Chamber of Commerce office in Mandeville.
Yes,
Right.
that's correct. And there are two
Yes.
public computers in labor, which is dedicated for persons, visitors who come in and they may want to utilize that service in event that they are not near to a um, computer cafe and all these things. So they can
Right.
feel free. You don't have to pay. That's free of charge. You come in and you will assist you with resume writing and also the printing. But in Clarendon, the office is a little bit on the small side, so we don't have that service in there, unfortunately. I should think that
As
when we
yet.
move into our own building, then we will be able to locate, and if we're able to have this service. And if it's a pity that we didn't have this agreement, this cooperation a couple years ago. What was needed in Clarendon is an MOU with that Chamber of Commerce. Because if we had one,
Okay.
what would happen is that we'd be bounded by duty to find a spot to put a computer at that point.
Okay. It's never too late. Never too
Well,
late.
let us see how
We
far
can
this
make it happen.
cooperation will go. What is happening now? What is the disadvantage now is the fact that the program has ended, but we still operate in the electronic exchange system, both online and manually. But
Okay.
the funding that came from there that would have enabled these things, that is what has dried up since 2020. They had an initiative to see how to invite BOJ to take over that program, but it wasn't successful. I guess COVID came and all of these things had to be shelved. So possibly in the near future, I don't know. Probably we may have it once again, but it was actually of great assistance to a lot of persons because the ministry paid a portion of the payments to these trainees that went out in the establishment. So now we're back to square one. If they would pay a stipend to these persons for the first 3 months, and then the employer would pay the total portion for the next 3 months.
Okay, that aspect you're referring to. Okay, I thought you were talking about the LMIS in terms of
We
the.
no longer have that. We no longer have that program. That the social integrated project. We no longer have that program. It ended last year.
Yeah, well, COVID has brought with it lots of challenges as well as
Yeah, COVID
opportunities. So,
was
so
rather
and
rather unfortunate,
there,
but
yeah, there are
hopefully
opportunities. Yes, the important
in
thing
a couple
is
years
to
time we rebound.
yes. No, the important thing is for us to get the information out there as to how persons can access. Because I know at the Youth Innovation Center, they have the facility where they can provide this kind of support in terms of the young people uploading their application, their resume to the site. So we have those avenues that we can use. And then what we want to do is to encourage for those in the communities that are able to provide that kind of support to do so. Because I've been sharing the link with persons reach out to me asking about job opportunities. I've been sharing the link with them for them to check on their go on and put up their resume. So they really don't have to go into a physical location to get it done. They just need to be made aware of the where to go and if they need
So
support in terms of the actual
that
upload
site
and
I
so.
repeat is
Uh-huh.
lmis-yle.org.jm.
Right. So,
Um, Not too sure if the listeners or yourself you have heard about Jamaica's Central Labor Organization and the JCLO. A lot of persons they refer to it as the farmer program. Is operated by the farmer program is really operated by Jamaica Central Labor Organization, and we have offices in Washington and in Canada. The
Okay.
ministry does the recruitment for these persons. Persons will come from overseas. That program started out in 1943 with skilled agricultural workers and other employees. These workers will be known as the H2A workers. H2A workers basically are the workers who are sent to the US. They work primarily in factories and in packing houses. So 25 years, well, many years later, we still operate. We're still operating through the JCLO. Last year, January, we celebrated the 77th anniversary of the US Farmer Program and the 50th anniversary of the Canadian program. So we send persons to 4 states in the US and also to provinces in Canada. So, in order to get on that program, what is happening is that you have to be in touch with your MPs because that is how it started out originally, and it still operates that way. A lot of persons they don't like when we tell them to go to speak, to have some form of dialogue with your MPs. But originally, it started out as a poverty alleviation method, and it was assumed then that the MPs and the councillors they were more in touch with the grassroots persons and persons who actually were could be identified as farmers. So, in order to get on the program, you should have been between the age of 21 and 40. You should not have been denied a visa within the last year of applying to the program. You should have at least 2 years experience in farm work or the hotel area,
Okay.
and you should not have been deported from US, UK, or Canada.
Okay. So those are the only
All
two
clear on
areas
the
currently.
criteria? Pardon me?
Those are the only two areas currently: farming and hotel.
Yes, currently.
Okay.
We have a small program that goes to Guantanamo Bay, but as the US withdraws from Cuba, Guantanamo Bay is in Cuba. As the
Right.
US withdraw and they reduce their operations there, is that we have less and less opportunities there. And that and the program is that we normally send like welders, some persons for construction, some electricians, and all of these. But that's done on a very small scale. For the program is that you'd have to, in order for you to get onto the farmer program, the program is the forms are issued in Parliament. So if you happen to be getting it elsewhere and paying for it, that could be a little bit on the illegal side if that is the real authentic form that you're getting. Because currently it is creating a lot of problems for the program. A lot of persons have been going around banding that they are operating they are, let me call it now, representatives of the farmer program, and they shove
Okay.
persons out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. The forms are given out in Parliament at one of the sittings when the forms are available. We do not operate the program year round. It is only done probably about once per year. Many years ago, when the economies of the US and Canada they were booming, we probably would have carried out like selection like at least twice for the year. But now things are getting a little bit on the strain side for all countries involved, and you're not really seeing, we're not getting a lot of placements these days. We have the continuous placement, but in terms of new placement, we're not getting a lot of those. Because as you know, the last administration in the US, they were strongly opposed to persons going into the US and taking jobs
Jobs.
from the citizens there. So they had an aggressive approach to how persons were actually recruited and sent to the US. So when the forms are handed out, then the MPs and the councillors they will administer the forms. They'll give it out to the persons who they are in touch with. So if the person is not in touch with your MP, you're not going to get the forms. You need to be in touch with them. You need to know them and get in touch with them. Secondly, after you have done that, then there will be a selection process. and selection normally takes place in terms of regions. From Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Elizabeth, normally that selection would have been done in Mandeville. And then for Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney, and Hanover, that selection would have been done in St. James. And then for St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland, that selection would have been done in St. Anne's Bay. And then based upon the numbers, possibly you may have an independent selection being done in Portland. And then for Kingston, you'd have Kingston and St. Andrew and St. Catherine. So
Okay.
we gave out some forms. So after that selection, persons from the US and Canada, they come down and then they give these persons an interview. They look at the gate in which they approach the selectors. So if you say, for instance, now you're walking and you see not having a life in you, then of course you know that that is not going to be an advantage for you. You need to be you need to be alert, because remember that farm work is not for persons who are engaged in farming. You know that farming is not an easy job. So if you're looking lifeless, then of course they're going to look at you that you're not really the chosen candidate. You won't be a preferred candidate, so to speak. So they look at your gait, how you approach them, even from the get up of that seat towards moving towards them. You need to be literate also. Earlier years we could use persons who are not so literate, but now they are saying that persons need to be literate because you are going to be reading signs, and in some of the more advanced farms. Sorry, what is happening is that you will be given electronic information are expected to carry it out along with the fact that you may have to be reading pesticides and applying pesticides when you go there. So if you're not able to read well, then that could be a disadvantage to you getting onto the program. So after you have done that, you're selected and you are successful. You will be given an ID identification card, and then after recruitment, after we would have gone to the US or Canada to seek vacancies for these persons. So upon being successful, we'd come back and then we'll try to place these persons. So if we can place these persons successfully, what would happen is that we would then ask these persons to go and get a police record. And you have to have a clean police record. If there's an offense on there and it is not a major offense, then you may want to get it expunged, because if you do not get it expunged, then you're going to be dropped off the program, because they want persons to have like a clean police record, or hopefully we're not sending any potential criminals over there. So after you have done that, we have asked you to get a police record. Then you are going to notify us that, well, you have your police record in hand, and we'll try and set a medical date for you. When you get to 110 East Street, which that is where the process goes on, Ministry of Labor 110 East Street, then you'll take your
Okay.
documents and then we'll collate them and send them off to the High Commission. So say for instance, on there, you would have slipped through the cracks for some reason that you had a criminal record, is that if you do not admit that you have one, then when they are doing the cross references, because they share security information. So if you're deported from the US, or you're deported from Canada, or you have an offense out here, what would happen is that they would pick it up. The High Commission or the embassy will pick it up. So there are some persons who they will say, but my documents went to the High Commission and I've not heard anything. I've done medical and I've not heard anything so far. Sometimes these persons, they need to have like a double check, triple check on all of these things. And if when these persons check and they find that there's anything amiss, then what will happen is that they'll just call you and tell you to come back for your documents. If, for instance, you didn't fall into that category, then you know that sooner or later they'll call you to now do a COVID test. Prior to 2020, persons were not administering any COVID tests. Now we have to administer COVID tests because persons who are going there, they want to know that they are COVID free. And I'm not too
Right.
sure what will happen in terms of the vaccination. because it has now become a requirement for countries to become normalized. Yes, we have the right not to vaccinate, but what is happening is that these persons are looking at, if the longer we continue in limbo, because you cannot what we have in now are lockdowns and curfews, and it is affecting the country economically. So we cannot continue in that state forever. We have to have some semblance of normalcy return shortly. So these countries, they are taking steps in order to normalize their countries and their operations. If they don't, what will happen is that you will hear that, well, these persons sink into disrepair and disrepute, and that is
Right.
not going to be a good thing, especially when we're having like worldwide food shortages and all of these things. So it's not to violate anybody's rights, it's just to ensure that we can bounce back quickly. And there are some countries that are more vulnerable than some. So if
Okay.
the longer we stay in limbo, we are going to have a very serious problem. You want to know that persons, your workforce coming up, because a lot of these persons they live in dorms, and if one person comes up and they have COVID, then you know that the entire workforce would have been destroyed. And then when these persons are waiting on persons to pick their crops, say for instance apples, they have a short shelf life. What will happen is that the crops will be there and there will be nobody to pick them, and nobody to box them, nobody to send them off, and all of these things. So we don't want to have a situation like that. So it's not that we're violating anybody's rights by telling them to do a COVID test. And if later on you should hear that you need to vaccinate, we're not that's not the intention. If one person's yeah, they have this saying to say that one bad apple spoil the lot.
The lot.
So if one person goes there with COVID, then the entire workforce will be destroyed. And not to mention the fact that some persons may live it out and some persons may not. So we're going to be shipping back dead bodies to Jamaica. We don't want that. But that's a lot of money.
Not at
It's
all.
much more than shipping back a live body.
And not just
So
that, it's going to be a big blow to the families that are here and they, I mean, their economic well-being.
that's another thing. And these persons, when they go in there, they need to ensure that they are fit and able, and if they have any sort of illnesses, they're taking the medication. A lot of persons, they don't want to take. So, for instance, like for some men, they are known not to want to take any high blood pressure medication. So when they go there and then pressure is applied and they're getting up early and they're going to bed or whatever time they're going to bed, what is happening is that you're going to get a stroke. I've personally gone and searched for families and had to give them the sad news that, well, Tom stroke had a stroke and all of these things. So they have to be fit and able, and if you are being assisted to be fit and able, you need to keep on your medication or keep adequate supplies when you're going, because the program lasts anywhere from 6 weeks to 9 months, and then you're repatriated at the end of the day. It is expected that you will return to the island, because for persons who go AWOL, which is absence without leave, according to the military, and that is what we use in the ministry to describe these persons. When you go AWOL, what happens? It actually damages the program, because if the embassy gave out 100 visas in 2020 and 20 persons escape, what will happen is that possibly we'll only be getting 80. And then all of this depends upon the administration that is in power and how they feel about workers, temporary workers going into their countries. Because as you know, there's a current situation going on with the Haitians at the borders, the Mexican borders. So not only Haitians, Haitians have joined a lot, apart from Mexicans and the rest. So you know that they're going to have a high infiltration of these persons. So when these persons go in, what you'll see happening is that we may not get the number of spaces that we are expecting to get. So all of these things have impact on what is going on. So a lot of persons will say that, well, I got a card. It's not a card, it's a form. So if they got a card, it's not our program that they are trying to go on. It is a form that you fill out and submit it to your MP, and then your MP will submit it to the ministry.
Okay, and
So
then from there, they they get the next steps.
Pardon me?
Once it's submitted to the ministry, from there they'll get the next steps in terms of the call as to what next
We
they'll
will
be.
advise the persons. We will call
Right.
them. A lot of persons a little bit they're a little bit about not hearing anything from the ministry. If we call your
Yes.
phone and the phone is not in operation, we will personally go out to look for you. So you don't have to worry as long as you have not moved. And even if you have moved, you need to advise your neighbors that this is where you can be found in case the Ministry of Labor comes knocking. So going back to the Jamaica Central Organization, they provide other services in terms of legal matters. Say for instance, you're there and for God forbid you had an accident, then they will provide they will provide assistance in terms of the legality of any claims. If you're ill, then there are persons who have gone there and they got sick and they go into the hospital, and then depends upon if you are ill as a result directly related to your job, then of course you know that the Jamaica Central Labor Organization will assist you in ensuring that you go to the hospital, because medication and healthcare in the US and these countries, they are not so cheap. But you don't have to worry about that, because there is insurance, and then there's also the Jamaica Central Labor Organization. And of course, when you come here, is that the Ministry of Labor will follow up to find out what other care you need, whether you need to get a CAT scan and all of these things. Natural disasters, the Jamaica Central Labor Organization is there for you. Conflict resolutions, whether among yourselves or with the farmers or the hotels, then they will be there for you. I'm not too sure how many persons they saw a video with two persons in an altercation in Canada. It was being circulated all over the social media. Of course, you know that we have to arrest that situation. So even though the video went viral, is that we'd have to take some form of internal steps to resolve that. Accommodation, when you're going there, we'll also check in terms of accommodation, whether it's going to be free or you're going to be contributing a stipend to the accommodation. There are some farms that give it for free and hotels that give it for free, and some we actually have to make a small contribution. In terms of the return of your remains, in event that you're not coming back alive, then of course the Jamaica Central Labor Organization will organize that for the persons. Hopefully that is not it. That is not the case. We're sending back live persons as opposed to dead persons.
Well, a wealth of information. If there's any other, we're definitely going to have to have another session to go through that so persons can properly understand that. So we went into not just the local job placement, but overseas job placement and how it actually works, because you've basically helped to answer some of those questions, because I've heard
And
before
then
you're not hearing
additionally, pardon
anything.
me, additionally,
Yes,
what is happening is that you can check out the website, because there are some persons who are desirous of working with the CARICOM member states. Once you have met the
right.
criteria, you need a degree from a recognized university that is accredited by the University Council of Jamaica, and the relevant other relevant documents. Well, currently, sadly, we don't give it to security guards. We give it to persons with a level 2 from heart in the skill areas. Say, for instance, like mechanics and construction and all of these things. We give it to these persons. And we don't give it to practical nurses either, because we don't have the capacity for that as yet. And media personnel, artists, we give it to those persons. So what they can do is to get download the forms from the ministry website, and then they fill it
Right.
out, and then they send it back to us. So that is it. So any other additional information, feel free to go to the ministry's website and check it out. You may have gone there for labor and the other things that happen in social security. So you may be pleasantly surprised. You can go ahead now,
Thank
Miss Vito.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Grant. That was really, we got extra for, and it was well worth it, because now you have additional information that you can share with with your family, friends, your colleagues, those in your communities, to let them know where they can go to access the different services, what they need. And as Ms. Grant just shared, they can go to this site, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. You can Google it, and you can find the information there as to the different programs, download the forms, and they'll tell you where exactly to go to submit that for not just local, but the jobs in the Caribbean as well as the overseas employment program. All right, so we have gone over the usual hour, well worth it. And at this time, I'm gonna bring back on. Thank you, Miss Grant. We usually get everybody together, but we are well over time, so I'm just gonna bring back Mr. Wade on screen to answer this question from Leonard Buchanan, and then we'll just close. Thank you all. We had with us Chevelle Campbell from the Clarendon Youth Innovation Center, Bridget Bromfield from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security Mapen office, sharing on the special employment program. And on screen, we have Ms. Delanor Grant from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, but she focused on the programs in the labor section of the ministry, talking about the locally as well as international, the overseas program, commonly known as the Farm Work Program, and also in terms of the jobs available and the categories of workers that are available for the other areas in the Caribbean. Thank you so much, Mr. Grant. And we probably will be having you on for another episode later on to provide some more details because things are changing so rapidly in these agencies. So we need to keep the public informed as to what's happening, what has changed, what are the new developments, and how they can access the services. Thank you so much. Continue to stay safe.
Okay, bye. Take care.
Okay. All right, so Wade. All right, so let's make a wrap on this program for this week. Mr. Leonard Buchanan was asking if you have anything for mechanic.
Yes, and by that I assume he is referring to motor vehicle engine systems. Is that
Yeah, but
because
we can take
normally?
it there because that's usually the general
Okay,
when
okay,
it comes to
all right.
mechanic.
So there are programs at Jagas. You can access at Jagas. That's at 87 Maxfield Avenue in Kingston, and you can also access that program at the Old Harbor VTC. And
Okay.
for other programs, there may be other persons who are wondering what program can I access where. I would invite you to visit the website ndar dot heart. I think maybe I should type it in the chat
You can, yes, please.
in the public
Yes, in the comment
in the
section.
comment section.
Yeah,
All right.
that's a
So
public
it's
one.
yes. So it is. Let me get it here to type. I only say okay. It says ndar dot heart dash nta dot org. Yes, yes. So that's it.
Okay.
ndar.heart-nta.org. When you go on this, you will be able to look at all our programs, and you will see programs. You click on it and it will tell you which institution in the island is offering this program. As well, you can click on the institutions, and when you click on them, it will tell you what programs are being offered. So in terms of programs, a wealth of information is there for you at ndar.heart-nta.org.
Right. But outside of that, you go to
Yes.
the YouTube channel, Serenity Resource Connector, the channel, and we try to flag the different programs that we have had. So if you're
Okay.
looking for a specific area, it might be a little easier for you to get the information. And then if if you want additional information, then you can go to the site or call one of the offices, and I'm sure the officers will be happy to guide you along the process. Thank
And
you. Go
final
ahead,
thing,
Sophie.
please allow me to say this final thing.
Sure.
For those who are job seekers, please feel free to let us have your resumes. And let me also reiterate that we are not just taking resumes and just sending you to jobs. We, as a job placement officer, I work closely with our career services officer. So our career services officer deals with empowering people and making them work ready. We are very high on employability skills. So we are here at the Heart NSTA Trust for you, to make you work ready and to have you placed in decent work. Thank you very much.
Oh, well said. And I see Zika Brown reacting to the conversation here. You're not going to see him from there, but
Yes.
I'm seeing it's popping up that he's reacting. Thank you so much for joining, Sir Brown. Zika Brown was on last week. He's the parish manager for Clarendon,
Clarendon, yes.
right? A part of Region 6. I always say the vibrant Heart NSTA region,
Yes.
always full of and ready, pumped up and ready to empower our young people. And I really endorse and support that in any way that we possibly can. And we'll be having further conversations with these and other ministries and other service providers as we seek to provide information that will empower our people, because the opportunities are out there. We want to guide you as to where to access them, how to access them, and where you can get help if you need that added help in terms of the making that next step. Thank you again for joining us. This has been episode 5 of the Serenity Resource Connector, where we looked at job placement support programs, not just locally, but regionally and overseas in as we know it as a farm work program. Detailed information was shared as to that farm work program. It's the most I've heard on the farm work program in all my days. And I'm sure it will be useful information for a number of our people.
And
So,
Mrs. With
yes,
yes, please permit me. If you are in the St. Catherine or the Portmore region, you're a job seeker. I'm asking you to send your resume. You can send it. I will. How do I give my email? Do I type it in something?
you can say it. I don't believe you
Okay.
can see from
Okay.
there
So
or
it's
and
my
go.
full name. It is Cecil_Wade at heart-nta.org.
Is it still
Cecil,
NTA?
yes, still NTA. The
Okay.
S is not in the email. Yes. Said
Okay.
Cecil_Wade at heart-nta.org. We
Right.
have our Get Hired days for Portmore, September 29, and for Spanish Town, September 30. We are in contact with firms, and firms have indicated to us what entry-level positions are available. So we need job seekers to send us your resumes. We are still engaging you. We still have ongoing empowerment programs for you. And we're saying to firms, you can still partner with us. We are giving you work-ready participants to join your firms. Thank you very much.
All right. That's it with heart, heart. There's always something coming on on the hearts from the heart. The heart in the heart of the community. I
Yes.
just love that one. Right. So thank you again. Thank you, Leonard Buchanan, Carolyn Agundes from over there in Uganda, Mr. Zika Brown, and the others who were on live. And for those who will be watching this delayed, thank you so much for being here. Please remember to share the information. All right, as we continue to empower each other so that we can make Jamaica, land we love, a beautiful place for us to live, raise families, do business, and just to continue to serve each other. God bless you. See you same time, same place next week for another conversation. And you don't want to miss next week's conversation. We're going to be bringing in the team from the different agencies, and we are going to be delving into understanding your statutory deductions. You don't want to miss that, especially for those who are just getting into the working environment. You want to understand. I wish I had the opportunity to hear all of this before I started working, but nevertheless, we're going to be sharing that information with you next week. So please stay tuned. Thanks again for joining. Do continue to stay safe. Do continue to stay safe as we navigate this challenging yet really opportune time in our history. All right, thank you. And just for something to take you out, let me share with you. The Serenity Resource Connector is a public education program where we have conversations with government entities and other service providers. And we go live on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. And that's my full name, Winsome Sharia Witter, your host. Or you can just hashtag Serenity Resource Connector and you'll be able to view all the videos that we have made so far. So thank you again. For those who missed the first part, it will be on the Facebook page and on YouTube. Stay safe.